Hello everyone, welcome back to the third segment of Classic Week, and today it's, what is it? It'll be Wednesday, the day that I'm uploading this, but it's not Wednesday the day I'm recording this. We're looking at the Jon Pertwee era, and this era is so refreshed, isn't it? It's like nothing that was before it. It's obviously in colour, it's got Jon Pertwee in, which is obviously the main difference. What else has it got? Well, it's mainly Earth-based, isn't it? Towards the beginning of his tenure at least. So this is a very, very different direction that the show stepped in. And if you think about the War Games and Spearhead from Space, you know, they're next to each other on the shelf, but they couldn't be more different. So we're going to be looking at the Jon Pertwee era, as you know, and I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the Third Doctor, his companions, some of his villains, some of my favourite episodes from his era, and some of my least favourite episodes from his era. So without further ado, let's crack on and look at the Third Doctor himself, Jon Pertwee. Oh, where do I start with this? So I think my dad has always been a Doctor Who fan since he was a boy, and this was the Doctor that he grew up with in the not late 70s, the early 70s. So therefore, as it's his favourite Doctor, obviously a little bit when I was younger, I obviously thought highly of the Third Doctor, because if he's my dad's favourite Doctor, then he's got to be doing something right. And yes, he is doing something right. I've watched all of his stories, probably, that I can remember, and he's just brilliant, isn't he? He's so charming, but kick-ass at the same time. Obviously with his taekwondo, I don't know what you call it, his dai, yeah, that. He's obviously so cool and just very, very awesome, I think. He is definitely a Doctor that little boys and little girls would look up to and think, yep, he is the Doctor. I mean, even his clothes are just so extravagant and cool, and you know, you'd just love to meet him in a street, wouldn't you? Because look at his face, he's just so funny. But yeah, he does a brilliant job, Jon Pertwee, as being the Third Doctor in my opinion, and I just think he's so cool. So Jon Pertwee gets very good marks. I think he came 5th on my Doctor ranking, so think of that as you will. Now we're moving on to the companions. Now the Third Doctor has a lot of companions, I suppose. Whether you count Yates and Benton, I'm not sure, but I do, because they are recurring characters in the Third Doctor's era, so to me they're companions. But we'll start off with Liz Shaw. She was only in series 7 of season 7, I don't know, but she does a great job. I love Liz Shaw, very underrated, and I wish we'd see more of her. So that's all I can say about Liz. She's just a very solid companion. Jo Grant, again, so iconic, so iconic. She just works with the Third Doctor brilliantly, and she's brilliant, and in every story that she's in, she delivers, and she never fails to put a smile on your face, whether it's on Doctor Who or just in general, Katie Manning. Next we'll go to the Brigadier. Obviously the Brigadier is amazing. He's one of my favourite companions of all time, and he's just, look at him, he's so cool. Whenever the Brigadier is in an episode, I think, yeah, this is going to be a good episode, because most of the time it is. So Brigadier is just awesome. He's so cool, so different, but so cool. Maybe that's something we need in the show now, I'm not sure. We'll go on to Benton next. Benton is such a cool character as well, a very solid member of UNIT, I'd say, and Yates too, just a cool soldiers. Would you call them soldiers? Officers, sergeants, captains, brigadiers. The UNIT family is just amazing. All very amazing. And finally we'll go on to Liz Sladen, Sarah Jane Smith. Now I'm not going to be talking about her too much, because I'll be talking about her in the next episode tomorrow with Tom Baker. But she's brilliant with the Third Doctor. Season 11 is a brilliant season in my opinion. Got Planet of the Spiders, The Time Warrior, Monster of Peladon, Death of the Daleks. Just a very good season and a very good companion, and she's very cool in this. And obviously it kicks off a very iconic character. So moving on to some of the villains of the Third Doctor's era. These are some of my favourite villains. So obviously we've got the Autons. How can I not mention the Autons? So creepy, so iconic. They're one of the scariest, I think. I mean, you can just... It's like something in real life, obviously, that we probably walk past every now and then. And then the fact that they can kill you just like that, it's so cool, creepy. I've put Agador because the Peladon Tales are some of my favourite stories of the Third Doctor's era. I think they're very brilliant. So Agador, I feel like he has to get a mention because he's so cool, and the way the Doctor can sort of hypnotise him is quite cool too. I've put a Sea Devil because, oh, look at that face. Look at that face of a Sea Devil. So brilliant and so ugly and so creepy, and oh, I mean, if the Sea Devils were to return, I would like to keep that design generally, because I don't want them to do what they did with the Silurians. I think that, you know, but the Sea Devil's such a cool design and so funny and creepy, and oh. And then obviously the Roger Delgado Master, brilliant, my favourite Master by a mile. He's so creepy, everything about him is just perfect. If this is the Master for me, that is the Master. And it's so sad that we lost him, because I'd have loved to see what he could have done with Tom Baker, and yeah. And then we go on to some of my favourite stories of the Jon Pertwee era. I've sort of mentioned a couple already, but The Curse of Peladon is a highlight for me. Just a brilliant political tale. Inferno is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. 7 parts, but it feels like 2, and the ideas and the concepts are so dark and horrifying and just awesome. The Daemons, again, a brilliant, excellent example of a Third Doctor story. On Earth, creepy, 5 parts, nice location work as well. And then we have the Time Monster, which I think's a guilty pleasure of mine, to be honest. It's not amazing, but it's certainly one that is just very, very enjoyable. Apart from the last 2 parts in Atlantis, they're a bit yeah. But on the whole, it's great, and I love all these stories. I love the Third Doctor and his stories in general, because I'd say he has a pretty consistent run of stories, in my opinion. Now we have some of my least favourite stories. Now this was really hard because I really struggled here. But the Claws of Axos I watched in March, and it didn't captivate me much. I think I gave it a 5 or a 6, and that's not even that bad. And that just shows how consistent the Third Doctor's era is. The mutants and the colony in space. The reason why I've put them here is a bit unfair, really, because I haven't watched them in years, and who knows, I could give them a rewatch and they could be my favourite story ever. So those are a bit like placeholders at the moment, I think. I mean, it's really tough, but the Third Doctor does have some consistent episodes, and he's got a brilliant era. So there we go, everyone. That was Classic Week, the Jon Pertwee era. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment down below. What do you think of the Third Doctor era? What are some of his favourite stories, favourite companions, etc. I'd love to read them and respond to you. So I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like. I've put quite a bit of effort putting these slides together, so it's like, whew, finally. But yeah, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, if you're watching this on the day it goes out, for Tom Baker and his era. And be prepared for some very bad impressions. So thanks all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.